Brian Flores has been hired as an assistant coach for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He'll be a linebacker coach and a special defensive assistant. And it's all thanks to, I imagine, Mike Tomlin, a brother looking out for a brother. This is significant and it means a lot. I don't know if Flores should have took the job, but it means a lot because it's a power move. We're going to talk about it right after the bumper statement. What is good, good people? What is good, good people? My name is JeffLightsyJr here with the Black Boss channel and Victory Formation. Thank you guys for tuning in. Be sure to hit that thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe, and notification bell because we upload every single day. Now, Brian Flores is a special assistant for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He will be coaching in the NFL even after guys like myself thought he would never coach ever again in the NFL in any capacity. I honestly, I didn't see it coming, but I underestimated the power of the brothers, and that brother is Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin in the Pittsburgh Steelers. You know, basically the Rooney Rule created after Pittsburgh Steeler owner Art Rooney, and they have hired Brian Flores, who is currently suing the NFL for racial discrimination, bad hiring practices, etc., etc. And he's going to win his lawsuit because Bill Belichick kind of let the cat out the bag as far as the New York Giants already knowing that they were going to hire Brian Daboll, a white man, over Brian Flores, a black man who hadn't even interviewed yet. So here's what I think about this. There's a couple of things. One, this is really, really good, not only just for the Steelers, but it's really good for Mike Tomlin because Mike Tomlin, I heard Stephen A say this. You can say what you want about Stephen A. Smith, but he made a good point. He said, when you are a person, a black man, essentially working for a white company on a national stage, you are not only obligated, but you're expected to do certain things for your people. There's a certain level of expectation that is placed upon you to not only represent your people in a certain light, but to also, when you get a chance, you need to promote the folks that look like you. And as much as we love Mike Tomlin, as successful as he's been, and he's been able to avoid criticism because of his success, there hasn't been a ton of black coaches up under Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin came up under Tony Dungy, who had a ton of coaches, black coaches that is, that came from up under him, including a Mike Tomlin, including a what is that? I can't even think of his name. He coached for he coached for the Colts, and then he coached for the Lions. I can't even think of his name right now. But a bunch of black coaches that came up under Tony Dungy. And there were a bunch of other coaches as well, not just black ones, but other ones as well. And there hasn't been a strenuous coaching tree from Mike Tomlin that had a bunch of black coaches. I mean, there just hasn't. He hasn't had a ton of high-level assistants, at least that I know of, that were black. And he is the most successful black head coach in the history of the NFL. It's just that simple. And so, to me, because he's had so much success, he's been able to avoid that kind of criticism as far as not having black people in high positions, whether it's offensive coordinator, defense coordinator, whatever, special assistant, whatever. Unlike a guy like Bruce Arians, who's offensive coordinator, Brian Leftwich, black, defensive coordinator, Todd Bowles, black, special teams coordinator, black, running backs coach, black, receivers coach, black. Like, man, whole staff was black. Hell, he even had a couple black women on there. So Mike Tomlin's been devoid of that criticism because he's had so much success. And so the first opportunity that he was able to basically show off and give an opportunity to someone that deserves it. I mean, honestly, Flores is overqualified. Flores is a 15-year NFL assistant, a 4-time Super Bowl champion as an assistant, was a Super Bowl champion as a defense coordinator for the New England Patriots, had a last 2 seasons he's been in the NFL as a head coach, has had a winning record, has had a really good record with a horrible Dolphins organization in a division that played against the Patriots. He has a winning record against his predecessor, his mentor, whatever, and Bill Belichick, 4-2 against the New England Patriots since he was the head coach of the Miami Dolphins. So he's way overqualified to just be a linebackers coach. But Mike Tomlin threw him a bone because nobody else was going to touch Brian Flores with a 30-foot pole. Simply because, like I said, he is currently suing and will win a lawsuit against the NFL. And that just optics-wise, it isn't good. But Brian Flores, now I said at the beginning, I said I wouldn't have took this job because personally, me, you've been screwed over by the league. I'm going to take a job with the league. But I understand why he took the job. One, because in all of his interviews since the lawsuit, he always said, I was born to coach football. He really, really loves coaching football. He really, really wants to continue to coach at the highest level in professional football, and that is the NFL. So I understand why he took the job. This could honestly, if even with the way things shake out, this could honestly get him promoted to being a defensive coordinator again, and then eventually, hopefully, a head coach. The man's only like 40 years old. So I see why he does it, because he wants to, of course, he wants to, again, be a head coach in the NFL, because he was successful at it. He was good. He was really good at it. It wasn't like he was no slouch as a coach. Like, he was actually really, really good at what he did. And this also helps the Pittsburgh Steelers, the team that the reason why the Rooney Rule exists is because of their owner, Art Rooney. This also is a good look for Mike Tomlin, because one thing, it's a thing. On this platform, you've seen people, whether it's myself or Dr. Boyce or whoever, talk about, owning sports leagues, owning things, ownership. Because if black people own things, you white folks can't tell you what to do. If black people own certain things, they can't take your job from you, because at the end of the day, being a coach in the NFL is a job. And whether they you can claim it's racism, discrimination, or whatever, and a lot of times it is, but a lot of other times it's just that they're the ones with the power, they're the ones with the money, they're the ones with the leverage, they're the ones with the ownership. And when you have ownership, you have, you could say it's white privilege or whatever, but sometimes it's just boss privilege. And by boss privilege, meaning like I am the boss and I can do what I want. And if I don't want no black head coaches on my team, guess what? I ain't hiring no black head coaches. Ask the New York Giants. Ask some other teams or whatever. But the New York Giants, I think, is the last team in the NFL history that's never hired a black head coach. And guess what? You could say that's discrimination. You could say whatever. But at the end of the day, it's just because that's what they want. That's boss privilege. It's not just white privilege, it's boss privilege. Because just like if you're the boss of your household, if you say no, no, people, no left-hand people can walk in my house, guess what? Left-hand folks ain't gonna walk in your house. They ain't gonna be allowed to. This is what it is, boss privilege. And so Mike Tomlin, when you're in position at some of these organizations, some of these NFL organizations, and you're in position to raise up brothers, guess what you should do? You should help raise up brothers. And I'm not saying Mike Tomlin hasn't ever done it before. He just hasn't done it to the magnitude that I think, it's just me, I think he should have been doing it. You're talking about a coach that's been in this league over 15 years as a head coach, not as an assistant, not as a coordinator. No, he's been the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers for 15 years. He's been the head coach of an organization that hasn't had a losing season in over 15 years. He's been the head coach of an organization that's one of the premier organizations in the NFL. I think he should have a more extensive coaching tree with more black men. That's just me. I don't know the history of Mike Tomlin's offensive coordinators. I don't know the history of Mike Tomlin's defensive coordinators. I just know there are a ton of them that have gotten jobs as head coaches that were black. I just know it ain't. And so this is a good job by him by using his authority and throwing a brother a bone. And thing is, it's not just throwing him a bone, because Brian Flores is damn good at what he does. Brian Flores is a damn good coach. New England's defenses were one of the top, among the tops in the NFL when he was a defense coordinator. Miami's defenses were on the top of the NFL because he was the head coach. You are actually improving your team. You're not like just getting a guy just because he's black, but hell, even if you did, so what? White folks do it all the time. The Houston Texans, if it wasn't for the backlash, and they can say whatever the hell they want, if it wasn't for the backlash of the Brian Flores lawsuit, the Houston Texans were going to hire a head coach of their NFL organization, white man by the name of Luke McCown or Josh McCown or something like that, Josh McCown, who played a number of years as a quarterback in the NFL, but had never been a position coach, had never been a coordinator in the NFL, never been a position coach, never been a coordinator at college, let alone a head coach. He had only been coaching high school. And they were going to hire that man as their head coach. You know why? Because they have boss privilege. And white folks, when they have boss privilege, look out for other white folks. Well, it's time for black folks to do the same thing. If you choose to work in a league like the NFL, which there's no knock to y'all, watch the NFL. It is what it is. But it's time for black folks to assert their boss privilege if they have it in any capacity. as well to uplift the brothers. Because these brothers can, I mean, you don't think black folks just not coach? Like, yo, just folks act like black folks just can't coach. We play like hell. You're an amazing player. You're the best in the world when it comes to playing. But now when it comes to coaching, X's and O's, you ain't there yet. No, that makes no sense. It makes absolutely positively no sense. And so I applaud Mike Tomlin for asserting his boss privilege. I think he had a lot to do with the fact that Brian Flores is now an assistant coach for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I think more black folks should assert their boss privilege if they have it in any capacity. They have it in any capacity, because you can't continue to complain about something and just complain, march, stomp, cry, whatever, and hope things change. No, you have to be the change that you want to see, whether that's starting your own league or whether that's asserting your boss privilege in whatever capacity that you have it. So shout out to Mike T. Once again, I wouldn't have took the job if I was Brian Flores, but I understand why he does, because he wants to coach in the NFL, period. So, it is what it is. Leave your thoughts in the comments. Once again, my name is JeffLightsyJr with the Black Boss Channel and Victory Formation. You can subscribe to the Black Boss Channel right there. Hit that thumbs up button. Also, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram. I talk about these topics first on there, and then I come and bring it to you right here on Twitter and Instagram at JLightsy7. That is at JLightsy7. Thank you guys for tuning in. Hit that thumbs up button on your way out, and I will see you next time. Peace.